Who are we and what do we stand for? We're a local, independent, family-run business. What it says on our new website is traditional feel with a modern outlook. And that's certainly how we like to try and think of it. We're set up on borrowed money. I've got my house on the line. I've got a family to feed. I've got to clothe them, and they're all women, so that costs even more. And I've got to keep a roof over their heads. That makes me passionate and hungry about what I do. Any of you sitting there who have your own business will understand that. If you owe the bank oodles of money, have started from scratch, you'll understand that passion. If you simply work for somebody else and get paid at the end of the month, I don't think you will really understand. I never did. I did it for 30 years. I never really understood that cash was king until I hadn't got any, and you lot wanted paying. As you've probably already established from listening to Boyd and Mike, us retailers, we're a pretty intolerant lot, really. Those of you who have dealt with the public on a prolonged period of time will understand why retailers are like that. There is nothing more frustrating than a customer. And they're getting worse. The diversity of what they ask, there's that word again, diversity, is never ending. It's unbelievable. But just remember, we are all a customer of somebody's. But today I'm standing here in front of you with my buyer hat on, and with the buyer hat that I have for the last 9 years of my own garden centre, spending my own money, my own time. At Fresh, we train our staff to treat every customer as if they were their granny. You treat them with courtesy, with care, and with devotion. I hope you would anyway. After all, they might give you a fiver at Christmas. Now add to all of that fluffy stuff I've talked about borrowed money, my house on the line. I'm in business to make money. It's quite simple. I am a horticulturalist, but I am in business to make money. I know how to do that. I'm not making enough, and I expect you guys to respect that. The same as I respect the fact that you're in business to make money. I've spent most of my life selling stuff, and it's actually quite easy. You buy it, you add value to it, you sell it. If you can't make more margin, and Boyd and Mike both mentioned margin, then you sell more volume. It really is that easy, or is it? One lesson that I wish every member of staff, every employee I've ever had learned was the one I learned when I was a consultant. Solicitors and accountants understand it, but what do they actually sell? What do solicitors and accountants actually sell? It's their time, isn't it? And you can't make more time. It's a finite resource. When I was in my 30s, I was actually convinced there were 30 hours in every day. When I was in my 40s, I learned that there were only 24. Now that I'm in my 50s, I've learned I have to sleep for some of them as well. It's been a bit of a hard lesson. My time, because I'm self-employed, is valuable to me. I cannot bear waste, and I don't want waste. I don't want waste. I don't want to waste my time, and I certainly don't want to waste yours either. I want you guys to be retailer ready at Glee. TLC. There it is up there. You see, I do have time to play Scrabble. To me, retailer ready, really it's common sense. But I do have to admit that over the years of meeting people, one of the many things I've found is that generally the more intelligent they are, the less common sense they actually seem to have. Think about what I was saying about how we train our staff at Fresh. I know it's stretching it, but just for a minute, indulge me. Think of me as your granny when I walk on your stand at Glee. I want to be listened to, not just heard. I want a brief, concise response to what I ask. I'm sorry if I'm sounding a bit blunt, but my time is precious. Bear with me, I'm not the most intelligent of people. Maths is not my strongest point. But there are around 500 booths at Glee, stands, whatever you want to call them. I will see every one of those over those 3 days. Glee's open for 25 hours across those 3 days. That is about 1,500 minutes, in my reckoning. I'm not very intelligent, but I reckon that gives me 3 minutes per booth. Numbers are there or thereabouts, I think, aren't they? Yeah? Some exhibitors I'll probably want to spend 30 minutes with, not 3. Equally, I'm not one of those old codgers who harks back to the days when Glee filled 9 halls, because it never bloody did. I actually think Glee is better for being that bit smaller, because I want quality, not quantity. I want suppliers that are retailer ready. I probably attend somewhere in the region of, I don't know, 10 trade shows a year. I used to do consumer shows as an exhibitor and a visitor too. So why do I go to Glee? This is actually going to be my 38th Glee. So what stands are going to catch my eye? Because I will see them all, but that doesn't mean that I'll actually engage with them and invest 3 minutes of my time. The wheel has already been invented. So what am I looking for? New categories? I probably won't find them, but I'll keep looking. New products? And I mean new. I can remember when the Grow Bag first came to Glee. New suppliers? Plenty of those. They may not be new in the industry, and I think the likes of Bayer and Hoselock that aren't there, or haven't been there, are losing out. And I can tell you, as a buyer, Hoselock would be missing out even more if I had a bit more time with the likes of Flow Pro and Karcher and people like that coming on with rival product. So I think it's important that you're there. I'm looking for exclusive. I mean things that nobody else has got. Going back over the years at Glee, some of you will remember, they are still about, but Crocs, the footwear. I found those at Glee 10, 12 years ago. They weren't in any garden centre in the country. I reckon I had sold probably 600 or 700 pairs before they were in most garden centres. That horrible tool, I hope they're not here, the Garden Claw that was advertised on telly. We had sold thousands of those within a few weeks of finding them at Glee. I'm looking for ideas, new ways of displaying things. I want product that will inspire and excite me, and above all, will give my customers a great experience. I want quality, I want value. Yes, I expect a lot, I've already said that. And we really have been quite good at screwing our own industry up over the last few years of making it cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Looking back, the day we started doing 50% off pots, absolutely bloody bonkers. What have I got to do? Sell twice as many to take the same money. We're an island. There's a reasonably finite number of customers that we've got. And now we've got to, sell them twice as many things. It's been said already, make your product and yourself stand out. Make yourselves memorable. Remember that 3 minutes per stand. Make yourselves memorable for the right reasons. I actually want my existing suppliers to be there as well, because I like the opportunity to say thank you to them, particularly those that have supported me, to give a good kicking to the ones who have let me down. So I want you there, even if you haven't got a new product or new packaging. I want you there. I think you should be there. The size of your stand may vary, depending on what you've got, but contrary to popular belief, size does not matter. I went to Glee last year with the same brief that I have really every year, and this year's not really going to be any different. But one stand particularly caught my eye. It was bright, it was colourful. Well, all your stands are going to be bright and colourful, I know that. It was spacious, it was different, didn't really fit a new category. You probably can't really see what that is, but it's actually footwear. Didn't really fit a new category because I was already selling footwear. Didn't really fit a new product either because I was already selling shoes. Not like those. Was a new supplier. There were 2 guys on that stand, looking comfortable, confident. They said hello. We very quickly, and this comes down to a lot of Mike's points, established what the minimum order levels were, what costs and retail prices were like. that they could supply these stands to me, that they could advise me on the range to take, because I don't know a lot about ladies' shoes. These two blokes did. They would post me a catalogue. They wrote down my name, my address, my telephone number, my email. They were going to send over an email with a suggested range with prices and values to me. They wanted to come and see my shop so that they could see our setup, discuss the location in our centre, tailor the range after they'd looked at our centre and looked at our customer base. They admitted that there'd be a delay of at least a month because they hadn't got the stands, because they weren't actually supplying any garden centres yet. But they'd set the ball rolling and get me some information. I got home that night and I'd had an email from them. I was quite impressed. 8 months later, from when the stock came in, we've turned over approximately £10,000 for that company. That's over 600 shoes. And people tell me that Glee doesn't work. Those guys were retailer ready. They knew their product, they knew their stuff, they had objectives for being at Glee, they knew their goal so that they'd know when they scored. They did TLC. So what is TLC? It's think like a customer. That's what we train our staff to do in the garden centre, is to think like a customer. And I would suggest that's what you guys need to do with your staff on your trade show stands. Your company is investing a lot of money in the show. Stands aren't expensive, but you're investing a lot of money in the show. The stand space is a tiny fraction of the whole cost, I happen to know. I take the view that in an event like Glee, I'm going to see, well, that 3 minutes, because I do have the odd cup of coffee in between. I'm going to meet around 30 exhibitors a day. Actually, let's be more realistic. It's probably 20 if I'm going to have a meaningful discussion with them. So I need the information I want quickly, concisely and efficiently. I need something to take away from your stand that will remind me of the conversation that we had. With whom and how we left that conversation. I need that follow-up information in a reasonable amount of time afterwards. I also appreciate if you can actually remind me, truthfully, of the discussion that we had. I don't want to take away heavy brochures and price lists, because I am getting old, and I get exasperated by the people at Glee and other shows with wheelie cases and things, because I always seem to fall over them. I do want to know what your best sellers are. I want to know what's new, if you've got anything new. Know your prices, your costs, your retails, and so on. I don't need to read them all out for you. I don't want swiping with an electric pen just so that you can record that you've had somebody on your stand. I don't want to be told that my L is your biggest customer. I'm so fed up with your best selling points being the fact that your competition are rubbish. I want to feel like your granny. And if I do place an order with you, I want, because, you know, I'll then feel that you're going to care about me. If I can do an order quickly and easily there and then, I may do. But think back to my 3 minutes per stand. I'm much more likely to be doing orders when I get back to the centre, when I've weighed things up with what else I've seen around the show, prioritised what I think I can sell and when, so that that bit of cash I have got, I can spend wisely. So if you appear at Glee in September and I haven't placed an order by the first week of October, I'm not a failure, I'm not a write-off, and you're not a failure either. That's the reality of the world, the industry that we work in. Depending on your product, there's a chance it's something that I might not sell even until next June. I have to think about cash flow. If you don't think that your company and your product is the best thing since sliced bread, then I suggest don't come to Glee. And when I say you, I mean everybody on your stand, because I realise, you know, you're probably, you know, chief execs, owners, directors, marketing managers, and so on. So everybody on your stand needs to think that. That way, you won't be wasting my time, you won't be wasting your money. To me, it's back to common sense. Appoint a stand manager, because somebody's got to brief the staff. Somebody's got to take responsibility for noting the leads and following through. Who's going to make sure those mobile phones have gone into the bin at the beginning of the shift? You need to think like a customer. The follow-up, again, it's been mentioned. I've lost count of the number of times at trade shows that I've invested time in talking to somebody and expected a follow-up that has never appeared. That really is failure. That is waste. When I used to manage our stand, we only had one lead book so that they were all in one place and everybody used that one. Everybody recorded the lead they took, whatever details were relevant went into that book, whether they were going to follow it up or somebody else. But we would go through that lead book, lead by lead, identify who'd taken it, and identify who was going to follow it up. Every day we did that. When you've already done 9-10 hours at a show, it was pretty hard work. It was pretty relentless, but we did it. Because that evening, before we went out, that lead would be followed up. Remember what I said about those Heavenly Feet guys with the shoes? When I got home that night, I'd had an email from them. I was impressed. So before you go out for your curry or your garlicky Italian or whatever it is, get those leads followed up. If you've been thinking like a customer from the start of your Glee experience, you'll have most of that information already that they want as follow-up. You jolly well should have. Your follow-up might only be a couple of lines. Thanks for coming to see us. We'll be in touch. Because it may be that it's quite a complicated bit of follow-up. But that little bit of follow-up, I tell you what, you remember them. Being at shows isn't easy. I know it's not. It's hard work, it's expensive, but it's only costly if you don't capitalize on it. Be realistic in your objectives. If I'm going to see 20 to 30 exhibitors a day and have meaningful discussions with them, how many are you actually going to see? If there's 2 of you on your stand, 20, 30 a day, that you're going to have meaningful discussions with, that's 50 or 60. If you've got 50 leads in your book at the end of the day, I reckon you've had a damn good day, the 2 of you. You've worked pretty hard. If there's, I've seen the figure somewhere, I think about 3,500 companies that go to Glee as buyers, something like that. If there's 2 of you on the stand, you're going to see 20 or 30 a day. You're going to see about 5% of the companies that attend, I reckon. Sounds slightly worrying. So how are you going to make sure that those are the best 5%? Look out for Mike, because he's one of the best. Don't bother about me. But, you know, being retailer ready will be part of that. If you think like a customer long before you get to Glee, when you book your stand, when you design your stand, when you design your literature, you've done your pre-event marketing, and you target the show, you might actually manage to turn me around as quickly as I want to be turned around in those 3 minutes, rather than the 23 minutes. I do sometimes genuinely think on some stands, your objective is to keep me there as long as you possibly can. I don't actually want to be there for a long time. And I don't really think you want me to be there for a long time. They talked about furniture earlier on and about refreshments. Yeah, it's nice to have a glass of water now and again, but I don't want to sit down. I don't want to spend that amount of time at it. So be realistic. You know, if you can get shot of me in 3 minutes and everybody else, you're going to get probably, the 2 of you, closer to seeing about 30% of the people who are visiting the show. You're going to have a much better strike rate that way. So be retailer ready. Stuff beforehand, pre-event marketing. I like the printed page. I know I'm old-fashioned. It's still the best. Electronic's good, the email's good, but don't rely on others to do it for you. You've got to do it yourself. You've got to make it happen. Kimberly, sitting here, will give you a huge amount of help. She is still only in her 20s, so she has got 30 hours in the day. Just remember that. But get in touch with her early. Give her a brief of what you've got new for Glee. And Kimberly will tell you a bit later on. I tend not to see adverts in magazines. Sorry, Trevor. I tend not to see adverts online because I just don't look at them. I don't have the time. I tend not to see flyers in the post in those last couple of weeks before Glee, simply because I'm probably getting 30, 40, 50 a day. So they never even reach my in tray. But the ones that come out a little bit earlier, the little articles that are in the trade magazines now in June, July and August, I'm already reading those. I'm already looking out for who's going to be at Glee this year, who's got something new. And please, if you have got that little article, put your stand number on it, because it does help me tremendously. I tear those pages out of the magazines. I've already got a pocket folder that I'm putting stuff in that I want to look at Glee. That could easily be your little press release. So, just to summarise then, TLC and Glee, be retail ready. There's my summary. What I need, I'm not going to read them all out because you can read them yourselves. But be retailer ready. Think like a customer. I'm like Anna Rigby, the head of buying at the John Lewis Partnership. I want what nobody else has got. Be ready for retail, ready for diversity. I'm looking forward to seeing you all at Glee. I hope it will be the toughest Glee I've ever had, because you guys are doing a good job. I hope it'll be the most profitable. And as you were all singing at the beginning, I thought I'd just put that slide up. I don't think you're going to get to Britain's Got Talent, but in case you can't see it from the back, that's diversity. That's what you guys have got to face. That's what you've got to be ready for. Thank you.